Hey there, All Things MSP crew. Welcome back to another vendor update here on All Things MSP. Now, these vendor updates are free for these vendors. And so it's our way of kind of giving back to the vendor side of the community, right? Because vendors obviously are part of this community and they deserve to be heard. And you deserve to know who's out there doing what. And so today I have Paul Barnes from Overe to talk about all the great things they've been doing since Pitch It. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Eric. Great to see
How
you.
are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Pretty good. So we haven't spoken since you guys were on my little game show that I did for Pitch It. How's it
Yeah,
going?
the cruel game show where you put us on the spot. No, it's going well. It's going well. Yeah, it seems like an age since Pitch It, but it's what is it, like 6 months ago now, and a lot of things have changed.
Yeah. So how was your Pitch It experience?
It was fantastic. I think having been on other accelerators, I think as a vendor, it really honed in the pitch as the kind of the whole program's aim for. Others are kind of more around different parts of the business, but this is great. Great set of chats with varying founders who have done it before, and kind of mixing with the cohort as well, which was one of the side benefits of Pitch It because we met a few friends which we're still engaged with from other companies in the UK and EMEA, which we're helping each other along even to today. So actually, we've got a partnership brewing with one of them as well. So yeah, it's not just about the pitching, and obviously we didn't get through to the finals. We weren't the lucky three, but the kind of benefits have still carried on. So it's been good.
Yeah. In fact, you were telling me before we started recording this that you just finished another accelerator with the UK government. How was that?
Yeah, so it's actually a Plexel Accelerate. So here in the UK, you've got the Department of Science and Technology, and they in conjunction with Plexel run an accelerator for cybersecurity companies to scale. So with Pitch It, it wasn't cyber focused. It was more about MSP focused technology. This was more cyber focused, and the market is more broader. So it's whether you're going into government, enterprise. I think I was the only MSP centric cyber vendor there, so that was cool. But that was a 6 month. It was actually a bit more intensive, 6 month program. Yeah, it was less so about the pitching. It's more about structuring your businesses in a way for scale, and in fact during that process, we actually did the Delaware flip. So we changed from a UK company to a US company. So that was kind of interesting, part of September, October timeframe.
So all kinds of changes, but before we get started with what you guys have been doing, especially with the product, let's tell everybody what Overe does so that everybody who hasn't seen you since Pitch It kind of understands what Overe is about and what you guys are trying to accomplish in the marketplace.
Yeah. Okay. So my background is in endpoint security. So I spent many years running product for several vendors, Webroot being the most prominent. So I used to have that product up until the exit to OpenText, and then ran product for Blackpoint Cyber for a little while. And so very much on the endpoint was the focus there. But I think that was the realization, seeing the emerging threats in the SaaS and cloud side. So specifically around Microsoft 365, one of the things which we saw was for every endpoint threat, we saw there's another six threats which were going unnoticed, and specifically for MSPs. And so that was really the genesis of the idea. And what we've built is a really easy to use platform. So we're all about simplicity. We want to be able to onboard an MSP very quickly and the clients very quickly onto our platform, show them value really early. So we actually, just after Pitch It, we introduced the deep scan, which does a very deep scan of the SaaS environment to show risky applications, users, with includes MFA gaps. We also plug in devices and things like that. So we give them all this value to say, hey, here's where your problems are, and then a one-click solution to go fix it. So we have policy enforcement to put best practice policies into Microsoft 365, and then we do detection and response. So the detection's all machine learning based. So we look at all baselining activity and then spot the adversarial activity around it. So we've designed a really low friction product, which it should be set and forget. And so that's kind of where we sit, and it's been going really well. And I think again, when we did pitch it, we had a free version of our service, which is all about our lead gen for getting MSPs on, and that was around, hey, let's show you posture of your clients very quickly. And so we have a nice feature for that. And then what we did since pitch it was, bolster on those other aspects around the deeper scan and then detection response and policy enforcement. So that's in the arena of where we sit, and again, laser focus on the MSP market.
And this is primarily around Microsoft 365, correct?
Yeah. So it is. We originally thought, hey, let's kind of go broader into other apps. But I'm sure a lot of your listeners will kind of understand is that there's a big problem with 365, and every time you kind of peel it back, it just deeper and deeper, and it's getting harder and harder. Microsoft keeps adding in new features, like Copilot, great, but who's securing it? Who's got the visibility over it? I think the last check of security settings we did last week was there's over 400 security settings we're tracking now, and so there's enough to do on 365 for now. We will go onto something else, and devices is something we're integrating as well. So we pull in Defender, Intune data, and then we'll be integrating other endpoint services in there. But I think we're all about nailing that use case. So we're known in the market as the best at what we do for that, rather than going super broad.
Well, and I agree with that approach because, for one thing, Microsoft probably has the biggest footprint of
Yeah.
any SaaS application out there. It also has some of the largest complexity of any SaaS application out there because of all the different components that combine to create Microsoft 365. So they're a big target. Number
Yeah.
one is the way I would put that. And number two, there's a lot of different points of entry that need to be protected when it comes to Microsoft 365.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. And I think one of the things we looked at was just the sheer amount of admin portals. I think there's 20 admin portals you can access, and they keep renaming them and like consolidating some down. But that's when we last checked. And then it's not just those admin portals. There's also like security subsettings, and it's vast. And I mentioned that 400 number around security settings, but the full number of settings, configurations you could do, and permutations, it's just impossible for any business really to stay on top of that unless you kind of got a dedicated team
Yeah.
focusing. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, and most of our customers, all of our customers, in fact, in some shape or form, support Microsoft 365. So it's worth us kind of focusing there for now.
Oh, sure. I don't know an MSP that doesn't support
Yeah,
365 unless, I mean, there are very few of them, but there are some that just focus on Google Workspace, but they're very few and far between.
yeah,
Now, the 400 configuration settings doesn't scare me quite as much as the number that you say change or get added all the time. And
yeah,
that right there could keep an MSP busy just trying to
yeah.
keep up with that.
Yeah, and that's what we were aware of when we started this, and so we have alerts in our platform to kind of say, hey, look, there's new settings there you're drifting from. Good in there. So we want to take that burden off the MSP, give them a heads up on drifts away from what we feel is good, and then just kind of help them keep on top. But our primary goal is for their MSP to lean on us to do all of that. Like at least for the most important security settings. We're not going to do like all the kind of different configurations of Teams chat and whatever, all that kind of stuff. It's very much around the security side. So yeah, I don't think the problem's going to get easier for folks. So that's why I think vendors like us, and there's maybe a couple of others which focus on this area. That's what we're there for, to kind of help MSPs along.
Yeah, but I think, the differentiator that you have is what you mentioned at the very beginning of this recording, and that is the simplicity of it. And for an MSP, that's really one of the key factors that they're looking for, right? Because they don't have the in-house expertise to be managing this manually, and they
Yeah,
don't have the time to dig into a complex tool. So for me, that's one of the key things for an MSP is the simplicity. Now, the other part is the MSPs also don't have the time to be monitoring all of this. And so having that monitoring and single click remediation, I think you called it,
Yeah.
is another key, because you're not only making the upfront, the onboarding piece simple, you're also making the monitoring and remediation piece simple. And that is something that can keep MSPs up at night, is not knowing what they don't know. And especially with something that has a big a footprint as Microsoft 365, it can be very worrisome to
Yeah.
an MSP of where that next attack is going to come from and what the weaknesses in their armor are.
That's exactly right. And I think ever since we released our deep scanner, it's been enlightening, even for the most sophisticated MSP. So, especially around MFA enrollment and enforcement, there's a whole spaghetti around conditional access policies in some clients, and there's just gaps. And so we uncover those gaps very quickly. So that's a part of our initial scan we do for free. And so we recommend people just run that, see the gaps, see which admin accounts are kind of wide open under certain conditions, and just click fix. And then, that's kind of job one, get the those things fixed. And also it's the apps as well. We look at third-party apps. So if you've got a Dropbox which is over privileged, or there's a load of different LinkedIn, we saw a LinkedIn app which has got access to like Exchange admin, and we don't know how we got on there, but that's happened. So immediately flags up is like, this is overprivileged. So we want to give all that to the MSP very quickly. Say, okay, let's clean that all up, and then once you get a solid foundation, let us take it forward with a policy enforcement and detection response. So that's proving pretty effective for us and our clients.
So it sounds like they can kind of spin this up, do a deep scan, and that part is free. But if
Yeah.
they want the ongoing services, that's what they pay for.
Yeah, because I think MSPs realize that, yeah, we can fix it one time, but to the earlier point around the kind of the new things coming on, it's just impossible to keep up with that. And so most of them are like, okay, right, I've seen enough. I need you guys to help me out, and that's kind of what we're there for. So yeah,
Well, and I think
security consult. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's a great way for the MSP to demonstrate the need to the
Yeah,
client, is to be able to show them, look, this is what this tool does. These are the security risks that we have found in your 365 environment. Now, do you want to keep this secure or not?
exactly. Exactly. I think that's why we did it. It also does another thing, which MSPs often struggle with, getting the clients off like a business standard to premium. And so, because you obviously got some gaps in what you can do from a security perspective between the two SKUs, which still baffles me why Microsoft do that. But anyway, we help them quantify the risk of them not having business standards. So it really helps them upsell more Microsoft licenses as well. So it's like, hey, look, we give you a reason. We've got a nice visual to say, hey, this is where you're at based on your current license. This is where we can get you to. But this is real with your current license. Then this is where we can get you to if you were to upgrade to business premium. And we're not going to say E5 or anything ridiculous like that, because it's all like, let's get you in the context of your client, what is best for them based on the scale. So yeah, there's all these little value adds in there, and that's the whole thing, is just to kind of make the MSP's job as easy as possible, to kind of convince the client, and also to convince the MSP that there's a need, and to get them over the line.
Awesome. Well, Paul,
Cool.
I really do appreciate you coming on today. Is there anything else that you want to share with the All Things MSP audience before we let them go?
Just sign up, have a play. It's free trial, 14 days, no commitment, month to month billing at the moment. So if you don't like it, you can hop off as well if you do want to try for a little while. But yeah, there's a lot more coming. And so yeah, we just released a new feature called Adaptive Control Enforcement, which really joins the monitoring with the policy enforcement. So the idea with that is that we learn from your user behavior and admin behavior just to apply best practice policies around that. So examples around, hey, let's learn where which countries your admins come from, or locations. Why don't we start to suggest a lockdown around those locations? So it's all contextual. And so that's the next evolution of this, is not just to do just baseline policies. It's baseline to the behaviors of your users and organizations. So that was released recently. A lot more to come. So it's worth a try. So.
And that's important, because part of the role of the MSP is to customize the environment to the specific client's needs. The problem most times is that the MSP doesn't have time or the knowledge to know how to do that. And so if you're doing that based on the behaviors and machine learning, I think that's critical to an MSP. So again, thanks so much, Paul, for being here. And if you are in the market for a 365 management platform to manage the risk around that, definitely check out overe.io, and we will see you in the next vendor update.